Hi again. So welcome back to our next talk at the Blockchain Community Day conference. We have 3 talks ahead, and our next talk will be dedicated to the topic of DeFi Development Trends 2024 and what we are building on top of it, which will be delivered by Artem Bessonov. He is a BD at build.decommerce.io. Hi, Artem.
Hi, Alik.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. And before we start and proceed with your presentation, I'd like to remind our audience to join our Telegram chat and to leave your questions in the live chat wherever you are watching this. And we will try to go through the questions at the end of our today's session. So I think we can now bring up your presentation. You can start with introducing yourself and say a couple of welcoming words. And after that, we will be good to continue. Good luck to you, Artem.
Thank you, Alik. First of all, thank you guys for the invitation. Thank you that you helped me to join this conference. Especially thank you to you, Alik and Artem, who helped me onboard it easily to this event. So as maybe someone doesn't know, that I'm a business development manager inside DeCommerce team, which is basically a part of the broader ecosystem of free commerce. And I'm author of my own channel called Crypto Lamer in Telegram, so you may check it here. It's basically in Russian, so if you're okay with it, so please join there. So let's start with the slides here, I suppose. I don't want to deep dive into the DeFi basics deeply, because we're kind of professionals, all of us here watching this. So I just want to admit that the space, the market sector, has evolved drastically during the time since 2020, and even the definition of DeFi evolved with the space itself, and all the features that are related to the DeFi right now are about to discuss, and it's a topic for a separate discussion, I suppose. But things has changed drastically. I want to remind that the base layer of all DeFi and why it was boosted so hard in 2020 was basically the acceptance of the concept of liquidity pools, when we shifted drastically from peer-to-peer financial products onto liquidity pool systems. Right now, I couldn't say that the peer-to-peer models has disappeared. No, even within one product, they both liquidity pools and peer-to-peer models can coexist easily and successfully, which is also great with different products. This is defined numbers data for the June 7th, last Friday. As you may see that the market, in terms of total value locked, that this market sector grows with the same amount of percentage as the whole crypto this year, which are basically the sign that there is not so much hype around DeFi this year comparing 2021, 2020. And it also depends on the macro environment, as you may see on the stablecoin market cap, that didn't grow drastically in terms of additional sources of the new liquidity in the space, because basically it's a part of the macro environment too. So this is the DeFi map. I made it by myself, so you may not follow it strictly. I just want to show how the space evolved during these years, and how these became big enough. So lots of different subsections within this DeFi space, a lot of relationship between things outside DeFi space, but that are directly involved into different DeFi protocols. So you may see these relations with arrows. Just for your information. So let's start with the trends. Here are some remarks, some disclaimer here. It's my own review based on the numbers and data that are publicly available. Also, there is the result of my discussions with different protocols, projects, team members on conferences and direct talks with key opinion leaders, influencers, with my own experience while I'm using different DeFi protocols. The word development here in the topic is broadly related to the concepts not only of the development narratives itself, by themselves, but also the marketing, product development, and other stuff. And these trends are related to mostly open and tokenized systems. So I'm not going to talk about CBDCs or other proprietary development. This is mostly open source development within the tokenized crypto space. So let's start. I believe the hottest topic and the hottest sector right now is restaking, which is related to restaking. Restaking itself is the protocol layer development, not actually the DeFi space directly, but derivative of the restaking is basically a part of the right now. It's very huge part of the DeFi space. So restaking itself, it's related to the delegation or reuse of the validator stake for securing novel protocols, networks, oracles, bridges. Actually doesn't matter. In exchange for additional rewards from those secure protocols, these rewards going to those who are restaking. Basically, it's validators of the base chain. Base chain could be different chains, and not going to be especially one chain, like Ethereum. It could be different chains. So restaking works, and restaking protocols is developing for Solana, Cosmos, and other chains. So the thing here, so I can show you the scheme here. So on the left side, you see highly secured blockchain. In this example, it's Ethereum. This is how Eigenlayer basically works, the basic restaking protocol. So this is highly secured with a large validation set network. And what's doing the restaking protocol? The restaking protocol is shifting the part, getting the part of the base layer security and transfer it to something called active validation set to validate novel protocols that on the right side with a lower security. So this is how it basically works. And in terms of DeFi, because restaking positions are basically liquid, like all the staking one. So because they are illiquid, you couldn't sell it. You can withdraw it in the second you decided to withdraw funds from the restaking. You cannot use it as collateral, so it's illiquid. So on behalf of yours, so if you want to take part in the restaking, so you may put your funds in the third-party protocol, and they restake your funds on your behalf, delivering you the liquid restaking derivative token, which is liquid, so you may use it within whole DeFi space. So you may exchange it, so you may use it as a collateral for issuing stable coins or issuing or make a loan or something like that. So right now there are more than 20 liquid restaking protocols, and numbers are growing. and liquid risk stake in TVL is right now around $15 billion, and Ether fee is a leader with $6.5 billion TVL here. Another trending sector here is the real-world assets tokenization, and the projects who are working with this problematic. The largest news of the first quarter of this year was related to BlackRock hedge fund that started its new real-world asset tokenization fund on the Ethereum network. There is also the development from Polygon called Libra. It's also the tokenization fund and infrastructure, especially for huge hedge funds and other big players. So I would say this is a kind of cool tool for example, in times of a bear market with the low liquidity conditions, yes, and high interest rates of central banks and Fed rate of US government, there is a very nice tool to create passive income with the tokenization within DeFi space. More than that, it's a great way to not only to put your money into work or something, so you can create the mechanism to release this liquidity, these additional liquidity sources. For example, you may use real-world asset tokenization as the stablecoin issuance collateral. So you may use it as a collateral for the debt position, for loans, or like trade in speculative way, or create margin positions and so on. So it creates additional sources on liquidity. So right now, the largest player here is Ondo, which market cap is $2 billion. And both, like the biggest players, Centrifuge and Ondo here, has TVL more than $50 million. And the interesting thing here that basically Centrifuge and Ondo real-world asset tokenization is standing within these protocols. They're not going out on the open market. And novel developments, they will work mostly like Tether and other centralized stablecoins. So the issuer, so you have to pass KYC and be white labeled to issue real-world tokenized assets, but they will be used openly for any participant who wish to trade them on the centralized exchange or use it in any other way within DeFi space. Moreover, a lot of development related to real estate tokenization, for example, Parcel.co on Solana network, and other protocols here. So it's a huge hot topic for development right now. This is some real-world assets and numbers. So as you may see, Fed fund debt tokenization crossed $2 billion in the second quarter. There is no need right now, thanks to DeFi, thanks to liquid staking, thanks to T-bill tokenization, there is no need to hold your funds on Ethereum account directly. To put your money into work, there is enough, just enough to transfer your funds to the novel rollups, which uses those layer 1 DeFi protocols on your behalf to generate yield. So you may hold your funds on novel developments like Blast, Mantle, Mantar, and other, and they just use your funds on the Ethereum chain to make some additional revenue for you using these DeFi protocols. While you're using some DeFi stuff or other stuff or trading NFTs, doesn't matter, on their own chains, on Blast, for example. So while trading on Blast, so you are getting additional yield just for holding assets like Ethereum or stablecoins on your accounts. So while you're bridging funds, they just sign this amount to your account on Blast system, but put your Ethereum into work on Lido, for example, and generate yield on your Ethereum. So when you withdraw funds from Blast network, they just calculate your yield based on the amount of funds and time you hold the asset in this chain, and like deliver you additional income directly when you withdraw funds from the Blast network to Ethereum. a lot of development related to hybrid architecture. So when we're talking about decentralization right now and the obligation of decentralization, right now for me it sounds like a meme. Centralized doesn't exactly mean bad. So part of the functionality could be potentially centralized, and it's okay in terms of real-world asset tokenization to tokenize funds with the white-labeled custodial for storage and managing those tokenized assets. It's pretty okay. And for example, decentralized perpetual protocol trading platforms, they're using on-chain mechanics to settle and execute trades, but for matching orders, they use like centralized engine, and that's also okay in terms of the customer experience. So do what is better for your customer. And decentralization is not the obligation anymore. It's okay. And when we're talking about decentralized aspects of DeFi, we're also talking about super apps. We don't have such financial tool like Revolut still in crypto. Maybe it will be in the future. It will be like Telegram app with their mini apps and their custodial wallet, novel custodial wallet for payments, for crypto holding. Maybe it will be. So you may check also things like Coin 91, 98, Zerion or Cian as the kind of first iteration of potential super apps, financial super apps within crypto space. Another thing which is related to the DeFi development is actually the creation of your own chain for your specific application. So like 4 years ago, to create your own chain, you have to choose what network you should to be on, or to think of development of your novel chain with your own consensus mechanism, with your own execution, validation rules, and so on and so forth, which is very time consuming and costs really huge sums, huge amounts of funds to do so. But right now, with those development stacks like Opstack or Arbitrum Orbit or SDK for the chain creation like Outlayer, so you may create your own chain with your own settings, with your own consensus, with your own data availability layer in just few lines of code, and even within like few clicks of your mouse. You don't need to worry about block space anymore and fight with competitors. So you create your own chain for your purposes, for your own functionality, which is very common right now for example, for those hybrid perpetual DEXs. A lot of them, they use their own chains like Ivo, Hyperliquid, RabbitX, and so on. Even like those NFT metaverses like Bored Apes Yacht Club, they will use Arbitrum Orbit for creation their own chain for their own metaverse. So this is a common stuff to create your decentralized DeFi application. To run your own chain right now, it's the common thing. On the contrary side, on the opposite side of the coin, because there are a lot of different app chains right now, there is the problem of liquidity fragmentation. So even the same stable coin on different chains could be really different and not related to the issuer of those stable coins. So there are like several USDC on Arbitrum network and so on. That's why there is a problem of unification of liquidity, and like protocols like Layer 0, they're working on so-called omni-chain token standards, where the token could be potentially the same, like the same in terms of, I just tell it's not so technical, but just to understand, it will be the same, for example, for centralized exchange, to deposit funds from any source or any network for stablecoin or other token. It actually doesn't matter for them anymore, and it's kind of cool. The example of this is so-called BTCB, which was first like native Bitcoin, wrapped Bitcoin for Avalanche network, but then it like was spreaded with the help of Layer 0, like beyond Avalanche. And right now, this market cap like more than 200 million and at all-time high. there was more than $500 million of BTCB on different chains and networks. Another example of this interoperability is Cosmos interoperability interface called IBC. It gets more and more traction because it's unified within Cosmos space, and it could be potentially brought to EVM and Solana chains with the projects like Polymer, and monthly volume of IBC transfers reach $500 million, which is kind of great for the Cosmos ecosystem. Another huge development trend of the last year, it's the usage of intent-based models. So in intent-centric environment, users, they express their desires and rely on the third-party so-called agents to fulfill their desires while maintaining the control of funds themselves. So in intent-based models, what's important is what, not how. So this is the example on the screenshot from Kangaroo. So it actually doesn't matter for me who is going to create those Hawaiian pizza for me, who will deliver it, on what way the courier will choose to deliver those pizza. I just want my Hawaiian pizza at my door at 8 p.m. and I will pay $20 for it. That's it. All other stuff on the third-party agent. So this is how it works within DeFi right now. It's very common stuff for the routing and aggregation on the spot DEXs. Right now, it's spread beyond to the perpetual DEXs aggregation, and for questions of liquidity aggregation, it's very useful. It could be potentially useful also for the circles of intents. For example, if three parties of the deal have like different intents, but they circle in each other, that's also okay to resolve like those circles. For example, A has some NFT and wants to sell it for USDC, B have Ethereum and one wants to buy this NFT but don't have USDC, and C has USDC and wants to sell it for Ethereum. So three of them, they create this circle of intents, and it's useful to use such a model to resolve such a circle. So this is how it works here. In terms of UI and UX improvements, we're all talking, of course, about account abstraction in different ways and different improvement proposals within Ethereum ecosystem. A few weeks ago, Vitalik proposed EIP 7702, which is temporarily incorporates the smart contract code within your externally owned account you control with your private key for the lifetime of just one transaction. So for the one transaction, your own private key controlled account will be a part of smart contract functionality. This creates like infinite possibilities for onboarding and usage of externally owned accounts without even need to know about signing processes, private keys, seed phrases, and so on. Another popular stuff for onboarding users easily is social authentication, social recovery, and usage of the passkeys. For example, I suppose you all see passkeys within application called Infinex or within Coinbase wallet. Now it uses passkeys to create your own accounts. You create passkey with your device, like mobile phone on the laptop. It actually doesn't matter, and very useful. And many of the protocols, many of the novel chains, they incorporate account abstraction on the protocol level. For example, ZK, Fuel, Starknet, they all have account abstraction incorporated into the code of the protocols. And the user operations amount within this account abstraction field is growing drastically. I checked the numbers. It's doubled for the past 3 months, comparing for the whole previous time, more than like a year and a half, where like smart contracts, user operations, account abstraction, user operations existed, which is very cool. Last two trends, they're mostly related to marketing stuff. Yeah. So first of all is gamification of the processes of the protocol usage. It's broadly common thing for the whole applications, like non DeFi also. But it's very popular within DeFi space. So those point systems, social engagement, NFTs, usage of the NFTs to boost something, to increase your yields, and so on. Referral systems, cross integration between different protocols for creation additional engagement. All of these things, they help to onboard and create a sticky user base and increase user retention. Indirect impact of that movement of those point systems is the increase in yields in different DeFi protocols. For example, as you may see on the slide, why so? Because, for example, for the novel spot DEX on the Blast, so to get the airdrop, you need to get more points. To get more points, you need to make swaps daily. Yeah, so daily swaps obligation creates more swaps create more fees creates more yield for the liquidity providers. So this is actually how it works. New meta here, of course, is the tapping applications in Telegram. Yeah, like Notcoin, Blum, and so on. They even don't have those DeFi products. They they tried to release, like they're planning to release. I don't know how to put it, but just this TapTG mini app game is very common stuff these days, like the new meta. But on the other side of the coin, so if you're going to run your own point system, so you have to understand where and when it will going to be to be ended, because when you create while point system is a great opportunity to create a user base, yeah, the space realizes these numbers that are created by those systems are not naturally sustainable. Yeah, so the issue here is also how to attract users after new airdrops and so on. And on the other slide, there are examples of the good and the bad retention. On the left side, there is a bad retention example. On the right side, there is good retention examples. Yeah, and the last thing in terms of trends, there is a mimification of the space. Your product might be mediocre or not suitable, not work at all. But the importance of growth, it's like post airdrops question. Yeah, to capture human intention, you need to create content and the story and for building the user base. So the more interesting the story, the more user attention you're buying, the more interesting your product to the space. For example, Hyperliquid released their own meme coin called Poor. So trading platforms started with a meme coin that was very popular. Meme coins, not like the question of how irrational this market, how it's you cannot even understand it, but it's a good way to test your product, your market, your users, and just think of it beyond, out of the box. So be irrational. It's the good sign to create a very good hype product even within DeFi space. Yeah. So the last slide is what we're working on. This is basically a novel trading terminal. with account abstraction called Steer. You may check it with steer.trade. It's open, but it's in alpha. Because it's alpha, there are additional risks, so use it on your own behalf with attention. There is like social logging, gas abstraction, different account abstraction features, and we're using something we call session keys to create additional opportunities for traders to create automation and their trading experience as close to the centralized exchange as possible, with those novel stuff like modular accounts, account abstraction, and so on. So yeah, Alik, that's it basically from my side. A few words of just main problems of the sector right now. We can discuss it if we have some time. And if you need to find me, this is the slide for you. That's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Artem, for sharing such a great presentation and so going deep sometimes in certain areas. And I've been looking through the live chat and see a lot of comments addressed to you as a crypto lamer. And since we are running out of time before the next talk, I think we can choose the best question and provide a short answer to that. And the rest of the questions will be answered in written form. So the question says, can you describe a day of a DeFi expert life? Is it more about reading Twitter, looking for important information, or is it about using technical tools like keeping an eye on dashboards in something like Dune Analytics, or is it reading smart contracts of new projects, how to accumulate relevant experiences and not miss opportunities?
That's a great question. When like you were talking about missing opportunities, so you need to be really, really early when there is no narrative or there is no trade, for example, like social fi, and those forecast rate drops you got. So you need to be in the space early, as it was for me, like in 2018, where there was no DeFi, but there was like MakerDAO and like first iteration of Aave, and I've started interest in those times. So you should accumulate as many information as possible from the notable sources. Of course, I prefer to, first of all, to read documentation directly of the novel developments I see when I see something useful for the space from my perspective. So I started with the documentation, with the white paper and so on. The second thing is, of course, to look at numbers and number growth. You may use like different dashboards like Dune, for example. If we're talking about speculation part, there is like more this should be like a deeper talk about that, but we don't have the time for that. It's something different, yeah. But if you wish to start, I believe you should start with documentation, then check some notable sources for some numbers, and the third and most important thing, to try it on your own, just to feel the product, and how you like it by yourself.
Thank you so much for sharing those tips and recommendations. I think we can answer the rest of the questions in written form. We have 2 extra questions. Thank you so much, Artem, for being with us today and for sharing such a great presentation. Hope to see you again in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for those amazing conference. And I'm going to continue watching another talks and speech. Really fond
sure.
of it.
Thanks. Of course. Feel free. And we have two sessions ahead, and I'd like to ask our facilitator to do the transition so that we could proceed to the next talk, which will be dedicated to the topic of using blockchain to bring transparency to the food supply chain.
Thank you.
Thank you.